Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I give you the opportunity to test your comic book grading skills up against actual results from CGC. Right here in this box, I have 5 books that were submitted to CGC under the economy tier that just got back from being graded. These books were submitted by best friend to the channel, Octavio. Thank you once again, Octavio, for making your submissions available to all of us so that we can practice our comic book grading skills. For those of you who haven't seen my video series in this genre before, welcome so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I have lots of videos like this, so if you enjoy this at all, there's a lot to go back and check out. But here's basically what we do real fast in these videos. First, we look at video that I made of these books when they were raw, before they got sent off to CGC. We then assess the books in their raw form for any defects, any damage, anything that might impact the grade negatively. Then we give our best guess as to what we think the grade might be. After we've done that, we do the unboxing, we take out the books, we see what the actual results from CGC are. We then compare them up against our guess. Did we do great? Did we nail it? Were we really, really close? Good for us. More likely than not, we will be not close and we will be off, and that is fine. This is a learning experience. This is an opportunity for us to hone our comic book grading skills so that we can become better, smarter, more competent submitters to CGC. Now, just to address the elephant in the room, of course, videos on a YouTube channel is not the best way to grade raw books, but this is the format that we're working under, so we're going to do our best. Remember, this is all for fun and hopefully education as well. Okay, that's enough of the intro. Let's go ahead right now and take a look at these 5 books when they were raw. First up, we have X-Men, issue number 60. This is the origin and first appearance of Sauron, Dr. Carl Lycos. You'll see right away that this book has a lot of issues. Lots of color-breaking spine ticks, lots of color-breaking creases, scratches, color rub. This book has been pressed, so it looks as good as it does because of the press. Before the press, it probably looked like a wrinkled mess. Now the evidence of that is just in the color-breaking creases that you see there. And some of them are hardcore, going right through Sauron right there. That's a hard crease. Going through his wing from the M in men to the corner where the N in Sauron is, that's a hard crease. That bottom right-hand corner, that is a spider's web of color-breaking creases. There is a lot of it on this book, and it is absolutely going to hurt the grade significantly. On the back, you'll see there is a hard crease there in the corner. No press is going to completely remove that crease. There also appears to be some foxing possibly in there, some staining. These were cleaned as well as pressed, so the white area is a hard crease coming from the corner into the middle of that blue box there. The white areas are as white as they are going to get. The staining that is there is not going to be improved at all. So you're seeing this book as good as it's going to get. All of these defects, in my estimation, are going to make it a 4.0. Next up, we have The Mighty Thor, issue 166. This is the second full appearance of him, also known as Warlock. And there's a Thor versus him, also known as Warlock, story in here. Similar to the last book, there are a lot of color-breaking spine ticks, as well as color-breaking creases. A little bit of problems in the corner there. But in general, this book looks better to me than the last book. Now, a lot of that is being helped out by the white background on this. The white background is going to help hide color breaking, but there's not the staining. It doesn't hide the staining. But you see there in the rock, you see how clear it is, that color breaking section? Well, that continues on past that rock. It's just a little bit harder to see. There's also some staining there on the edge. Hard crease coming there up the middle. But CGC is going to see the color breaking creasing even if it is on a white background. Speaking of white backgrounds, the back of this book looks really pretty good. If you compare it to the first book that we saw, you see how much more white this is. But then, of course, it still has staining there along the edge and there at the bottom. Staining is deadly for grades, hurts it a lot. The color breaking spine ticks on the front here on the back are kind of like discolored and slightly torn. That is going to hurt the grade as well. All in all, this book looks better to me than the first book, so I'm going to give it a 5.0. Next up, we have The Mighty Thor, issue 165. This is the first full appearance of him, also known as Warlock, and there's a Watcher appearance in this book. You'll see here there are a lot of color-breaking spine ticks, a lot of color-breaking creases. There's a little bit of tear there in the corner. I mean, that's a lot of creasing right there along the edge. Now, you'll see here, right there along Thor, along the spine, that is all torn up, not to mention all the creasing and tearing in the top left-hand corner. You can't even see where the staple is supposed to be, and it's all torn where the staple is supposed to go. So that's pretty clearly detached at the top staple. That will hurt the grade a lot. More creasing, hard creasing, color rub. Some of it's worse than others, but it's all bad. It's that detached section along the spine where Thor is there that's really going to hurt. There's also staining inside the book that's coming from that staple. It's throughout all the pages. That staining is significantly going to hurt the book. There's more of that staining here on the back. Something I'm very bad at, and that stain in the middle of the book reminds me of, I'm really bad at looking inside the book sometimes. Sometimes I just look at the outside and then I move on, but you've got to check out the inside. Look and see that stain there where the staple's supposed to be? That's a bad stain. Stain there at the top. Really, really bad. This is going to hurt the grade a lot. I'm going to give it a 2.0. Next up, we have The Mighty Thor, issue 134. This is the first appearance of the High Evolutionary. It's also the origin and first appearance of the Man-Beast, first appearance of Fafnir, and there's a Galactus cameo in there. Lots more color-breaking spine ticks, creases, stuff that this book probably looked just horrible before it got pressed. And I got to say, whoever did the pressing did a good job. But you know what doesn't press out? Water stains. And there are some kind of moisture stains all over the top of this book. You see them. You see the edge of it. You can see how it's discolored the book and where the stain stops by the edge. Those stains are going to hurt the book a lot. If they're small stains, maybe about an inch in diameter, they're going to hurt a little bit. Well, they're going to hurt, but they're not a ton. When they're as big as they are on this book, boy howdy, it's definitely going to hurt the grade a lot. Like if you just had that little stain right there in the corner and that was it, it hurt the grade, but maybe not destroy the grade. On this book, all the staining is going to destroy the grade. It's there at the bottom too. It's at the top, it's at the bottom. It's all over this book. It's too bad. It's a reminder to properly store your books because you don't want this to happen. All in all, I'm going to give it a 3.0. Finally, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 124. This is the first appearance of the Man-Wolf. This book is very similar to all the other books that we've been looking at today. Has a lot of color-breaking spine ticks, has color-breaking creases. This one, on first glance, though, however, looks better to me than most of the other books, maybe except for the second one. It doesn't have the spider's web nature of creasing. Well, maybe a little bit there in the top corner right there. But even though it does have the color-breaking creasing, it does have the color-breaking spine ticks, it's an accumulation of defects that matter. And while this does have an accumulation of defects, not quite as many as some of the other books. So I imagine it's going to get a slightly better grade than the other books. The back of this book actually looks pretty good. It's pretty white there. There is some staining in there still, so that will hurt the grade, but I don't see necessarily the creasing or any kind of tearing that we might see on the front. Now, this is an interesting thing. You see the 242 there. You're going to see another stamped thing at the top here. Date stamps, it's my understanding, are forgiven by CGC grading. However, these stamps aren't date stamps. It's some kind of price and some kind of number. So I think it will hurt. I'm going to give this a 4.0. All right, so now you've had the opportunity to take a look at the 5 books in this submission when they were raw. You've assessed them for any damage, any defects, anything that might impact the grade negatively, and you've come up with your best guess for what you think the grade might be. I have shared with you my best guess for what I think the grade should be. Now we're going to find out what the actual results are from CGC. As always, I like to open these boxes right in front of you, right on camera here, so that you can see that I have not cheated, I have not looked at grades, I have not looked at any graders' notes, I have not looked at any information. All I have is what I saw of these books when they were raw. I also like to show you how CGC packs things. This is a typical 5-book submission size box. You can see here, they're all in here wrapped with bubble wrap. This is a very typical thing for CGC packing. We'll go ahead and pop out that bubble wrap. And we'll see what the other thing that is very typical is that they are all 5 of them rubber banded together and with cardboard protecting either side. Now, I can tell by feeling what the backs are. So the backs are facing up. That's good. I'm just going to put them over here on the other side. Take off the rubber band and this top cardboard, and we're going to get to the first book here, which I don't know what it is yet. Let me cover the grades and then show you, and we'll find out together. It is XMen, issue number 60. Sweet, sweet book. My thing is on top of my grades. Okay, so I gave this book a 4.0. Now, if you saw my last series, there was a lot of books in this mid to low grade range. And generally, I learned that I was a little bit too strict on my grading in this range. So even though I'm going to stick with the 4.0 that I assessed this book at originally, it's more a truer adjustment for would be like a 5.0. But let's just see what the results are. Okay, is it a 4.0 like I originally guessed, or 5.0 like I'm trying to adjust my expectation to? 3.5. Okay, so it's much closer to my original thing, so that's kind of good. I looked at these a couple months after I looked at that last batch that we saw here on my channel. So maybe I made a correct adjustment before this one got into my hands. The difference between a 3.5 and a 4 is negligible. So I absolutely feel good about the 3.5, even though I guessed a 4.0. I tend to want to guess lower than the results that I'm getting so that I can help protect my investment. But this is real close. I'm happy with this. White pages, by the way, 3.5 white pages. So this is just a really nice book to have in any grade. And yeah, I did pretty well on that. So let's see. We'll see if that was a fluke. We'll see how it compares to the rest of the submission that we are going to have to look at here today. The next book is Thor, issue 166. I assessed this book at a 5.0. So I guess what I expect now is for it to come back as a 5.0. I'm going to hold true to my original guess. So let's see what the results are on this one. Okay. Did I get close to the 5.0 I guessed? 3.0. Okay, so this is really interesting to me. That's way off. That is way off. In addition, they're basically saying that this book is worse than this book. Also white pages, by the way. It's always interesting to me when you get a low-grade book like this that still has white pages. I am confused at first glance as to why this Thor book would be a lower grade than this X-Men book. We'll have to take a look at the grader's notes, which of course I will be providing for you in this video, but boy, oh boy, this Thor book looks a lot better than this X-Men book. So, like I said, maybe the grader's notes will be enlightening in some way. And I always just defer to CGC. They're the experts. I am not. So if we disagree, I'm going to say I'm wrong and you're right because you're professional graders. But that is surprising to me. So this is an opportunity when I'm this wrong, guessing a 5.0 and getting a 3.0, for me to go back, look at the grader's notes, look at the book in the raw, look at the book now when it's graded, and see if I can't figure out why did this get a 3.0 instead of the 5.0 that I was guessing. Being wrong is sometimes embarrassing in these videos, especially when I'm way off, but it's never too embarrassing because I'm happy to have an opportunity to learn something, and that's exactly why I make these videos. The next book I have here is Thor 165. I gave this book a 2.0. I don't know what to think about my abilities to grade in this grade range right now. So let's just take a look at the results. Did it get the 2.0 that I guessed that it might? I mean, the way things are going, it's probably going to get a 5.0, but let's see. What did it get? A 2.0. Okay, so I nailed this one right on the head. Guessed the 2.0, got the 2.0. So once again, I'm pretty close on 2, pretty far off on 1. I'm sure that there's something to be learned for me about that Thor, that first Thor book, 166. All right. Moving on to the next one. Let's see what the book is. It's Thor, issue number 134. I assessed this book at a 3.0. Okay, I've been pretty close on 2, off on the 3rd, so I'm going to assume I'm going to be pretty close and that it's going to get the 3.0 that I guessed. Let's see what the results are. Okay, did you guess correctly? Did I guess correctly? It's only one way to find out, for me to find out. You've already found out. 2.5. Okay, so once again, I'm okay with that. I guessed a 3.0. It came back a 2.5. Being off by 1 grade increment, especially in this grade range, is negligible. It's, in my opinion, a very good guess, especially when you have so much to consider when you are assessing a book in this grade range, so much by way of like damage and defects and flaws and things like that. But I was only off by 1 grade increment, so I'm going to take that as a win for myself. And I would do the same thing for you. If you guessed a 2.0 or a 3.0, I would say that you did well. But if you're too far past that, then you get an opportunity for a learning, to learn. You get an opportunity to learn. All right, last one in this video is Amazing Spider-Man issue 124. Octavio had, I believe, 3 of these in the last series of videos that I made with his submission. Well, now he's got another one. I believe this one, however, is the lowest grade of all of them, but let's find out for sure right now. I assessed this book at a 4.0. Been pretty close. 3 out of 4 of them on this one. Let's see how close I am on this one. Okay, You've seen the grade. Now it's time for me to see the grade. It got a 4.5. So I guessed a 4.0. It got a 4.5, which once again, I am very, very happy about. I'm only one grade increment off in the direction that I prefer to be off, because if I tend to grade a little bit harshly when it's my own books, because I always want it to come back higher than the grade I anticipated, because I look at how much I spent on a book, how much it's going to cost to get graded, what my total expense on the book is going to be after everything is said and done, and then with the grade that I expect to get, what is it going to be worth? I want to make sure what it's worth is more than what I've put into it. That's why grading a little bit harshly helps protect that math. But for these videos, I'm trying to nail it, and I came pretty close. I was only off by one grade increment. So yeah, I'd say I did. I personally, you might be like, you were wrong on all but one. Well, that's true. But I'm very happy with being as close as I was on 4 out of the 5 of them. And I'm happy to have a little bit of a mystery to figure out for myself for that one book where I was off by a solid margin. So how did you do? Did you nail the grades? Were you close like I was, or were you way off? All of it is okay. This is just a learning experience. Let me know down in the comments how you did. I always like to hear how close you got and if you learned anything from this video. In addition, if you like this content, likes are appreciated by me. And if you haven't already subscribed, I definitely recommend you subscribe. I make these videos from time to time, and I will have more of them coming out soon. All right. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.